Hello and welcome back. This is the Indoor Farmer. I am Waylon and my co-host here, Jeremy. We got episode 32 here for you guys. It's kind of crazy because we have it's been a couple weeks since we had one, but the amount of things that have happened is just insane in our personal lives, and just the fact that it's warming up and you got the season changing and so much happening with that. But then we have some other things in store. We'll tease some little projects that I don't know. I wouldn't say little actually. I think it was a pretty interesting project, but we'll tease that. It's going to be a couple episodes from now. But before we start today, what's going on? You doing all right, man?
Yeah.
I like the shirt. You guys see that shirt?
Everybody enjoys romantic walks at the hardware store. No, everything's been going good. Just keeping everything alive, getting ready for the transition outside for my vegetables and stuff that I already have going indoors now. Hopefully here soon I'll have pictures so we can start sharing my garden that I'm going to be doing outdoors this spring and summer. Other than that, no, just trying to keep the kids from getting muddy.
Right. It's like that in between season with all the rain, but we need it, I guess they say. But I'm excited. I'll help you out at your outside or your house, I guess, because I don't really have much outside grow space. Everything is shaded in. But let's get going with the video, just because it's nothing too crazy, just kind of what I've been doing. And this was actually a couple weeks ago, so there's a lot going on now. But this is interesting because I was very excited about how the flowering was happening. And I know we talked about it in a previous episode, but I really have to figure out how to get them fully pollinated. But actually, I did pollinate a little bit. I think I have some of that on the next clip, but the next episode, but not fully. And what I mean by that is there's so many flowers that just like curl up and like it's like how would you expect a bee to get in there? I don't know. So yeah, that one's easy. You see the easy ones? Like, okay.
And I think a lot of this comes with being the difference between an indoor growing and an outdoor. Outdoor, you're going to have wind, you're going to have different elements.
Just thinking that.
And that's what, even when I was down in your area today, I just kept looking where we would put a fan, because I think we do actually need the fan to strengthen those up some more. But not only that, natural pollination can happen. But
on the bar, maybe.
Well, I mean, it just blows. It can blow from one flower to another. It's not always a sure thing, but definitely possible. I do think with the indoors, we're learning more about the pollination of these fruits and vegetables that we're trying to grow here.
We're mimicking that process, and it's...
Yeah.
I've stressed it before, I don't do a ton of research on it. I do some when I need to, because I like to leave myself that room to say, oh, well, this is my first time, let me mess it up, I don't know, maybe that's a stupid thing.
No, I'm probably the opposite. I want to know full-fledged as much as I can know going into it, so I have less room for error. I mean, sometimes seeds just don't germinate. Things happen. I did notice what I would also suggest possibly that we need to look into is upgrading to a big light instead of a bunch of little lights on this grow, and I think all the plants would benefit from it. Definitely.
Right. Especially further on the new bed we worked on. That's going to be huge. I don't want to string lights all over the place like I did this time. So
no, and I just put an Optic Slim 650S. I just purchased and put one of those in, and they're insane.
Man, so many light names. That doesn't mean much to me, but it sounds like you have a good review on it and a good recommendation. So.
Yeah, it's it's a 4 foot by 4 foot grow light. It's perfect for your 4x4 tents. It'll cover up to a 5x5 grow tent area, but you can mess with every light spectrum. You can play with your reds, your blues, your whites. Like right now, I'm inducing the blue light spectrum because that's the light spectrum you need early stages of life, and that's what's going to keep your plant shorter, keep it a little bushier, and not only that, it's going to ensure that it gets those big fat stalks at the bottom to support once it gets tall enough and bear fruit. It's going to help sustain its own weight.
So stronger blue light, or just
Yeah,
all blue light?
stronger blue light spectrum is what you want to look for in the first. Right now, I have it about 48 inches above the plants, which normally
Right.
is tall, but I'm only running 50% of each light spectrum, the white, the red, and but I'm running about 55 to 56% blue light
Oh, I see.
spectrum just to
Okay.
induce a little more. But
That's not
yeah,
as much as I thought, but still, that's a big difference when you're talking
yeah.
about the light, right?
And doing my research before I purchased this, there's so many grow lights. This is one of the only lights out there that you can run a light spectrum at a 1%. So that was definitely a bigger option. Like I said, build as you go, start small. After upgrading to this light, I won't need to upgrade the light anymore.
Right.
It's a one
Especially
and
with
done,
your
but
system that you have
it
going.
is a
Yeah.
big purchase. It's something to definitely think about. But with this
What was
setup
it?
here, they run about $1,200. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's
This
you know
is
how
great.
easy it is. I mean, you've seen these lights. How easy does it build up $600, and you don't have half the strength that that light has. So it just depends. But these lights do sell. All your other lights that you're not using anymore definitely go on marketplace,
Oh yeah.
and they sell
Yeah.
really fast.
Honestly, I think
For
I just keep spreading out and keep
Yeah.
doing more and more with everything.
Well, when it comes down to 7 power strips for one grow tent,
All
you
right.
know.
Touche. Touche. Let me just catch everybody up. We're just obviously that was about the same. It was like the same plant there for a few pictures. That's a pepper plant. I kind of have this experiment going on side by side. The pepper plant being that it's in part of a system that the water was shut off, and so I've been feeding it manually, and it wasn't doing so great. This one is doing a lot better. The one that I just showed a second ago that had the flower, that flower just fell off. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But anyway, you'll see in the next episode what we do with that. So, but I just see that you see how this poor pepper is just getting engulfed. It still has the little buds forming, but it's getting engulfed by the cucumber vines. So
That little bud there, is that where the flower fell off?
those are the flowers. Well, that's where the flowers are forming. Those are cucumbers there, actually. Thought that was an interesting photo. Close up, like a bud. Touche. This is that leak that we talked about in the last episode. We just talked about how I have this leak, and clearly a big question on my episode here. What to do about it? Should I take it apart? Should I actually care about this? I let it go for weeks now, and it doesn't drip, it doesn't leak anymore. I think there's probably very little water left in there, and I think it's time. I might actually take everything out of it, just scrap it's this upper bed that you guys see here. I might just scrap everything there and fix it, and then start growing there again. But I almost want to just get rid of both grow beds and and build like one big square. What do you think? One big one, not, and maybe just take out the fact that it's held up by the chairs.
Oh, it's engineered in such a way.
Styrofoam. It's not styrofoam. What would you call that? Like,
It's definitely in the foam family. I don't know about styrofoam, but it's a
part
type
of the
of
foam
foam.
family.
It's a denser, harder foam.
So what I did here was I decided to go ahead and do some repairs and upgrades to the system I've been wanting to do for a while, and so I guess I've already decided then I'm gonna fix it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna waste my time there, but these are all things. This part here was leaking very slowly, but it still leaked. So I went ahead and used a sealant there, and I also shifted the whole thing down because it was. You see how it's in my doorway. You can see it right there perfectly, actually. And I would bump it all the time, and then it would leak. So
You're just clumsy.
well, I'm trying to be nice because I'm not the only one that's bumped it. Okay, they know who they are.
Not this guy.
No, you've never bumped it. I'll say.
I watch where I'm walking.
I just clamped it into the other bed there, and
Yeah.
I keep the whole system going, keep the process happening, and that should actually theoretically should put so much more energy into those cucumbers. But what I have happening is all of those seeds. I don't know that you can see them here yet, but you see them now. All these little seeds that my friend threw in there.
Yeah, we actually showed that on another episode. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, it's
because he was showing you how to prune the lettuce for the
He's
come
like,
and come again tactic.
Yeah, and he goes, "This is how you do it."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, it's chaos. It's chaotic because I'd like to be able to pull it, be able to pull it out if I want. I want to do a grow bed, or not grow bed, a float bed.
Yeah.
Because that's
we were talking about
cleaner in and out, and you can do marijuana that way. I watched some video at some point. This stuff is called plumber's goop. I went to Home Depot for something else, and they didn't know what I was talking about. And it says goop on it. That's the big letters. It's nice stuff, but I ended up getting some other stuff for that other project, future project.
So it's just a goop. It's not a silicone.
It's like a silicone. It dries, and then when it dries, it turns white. So silicone comes on white and then dries clear. It's very strange. It's not a PVC glue, which I think I have some of that too. I guess I could have used, but this is easier to get back off. I can just cut it off instead of the glue. I don't know how you get PVC apart that's been PVC glued together. Is that possible?
Cut that piece out and attach. So you would have just cut this off. You'd have to buy a whole new end cap. Start again.
So then
But generally, when you put it, when you apply it, it's going to be a permanent fixture. The only time you'd cut it out is if you're changing your whole plumbing, or if you're got a leak or something, and that part needs to be removed.
Well, maybe the stuff is more temporary then, because I know I can take it back apart.
So we're going to sit here and actually watch it dry too, or?
Oh man, look. There's a couple other points to make here. Using the gloves, guys. I used my hands for a while, and it's a lot harder. It's not because it stays too stuck to your hands. It's because this stuff, like as you're using it, it starts to dry almost instantly on the outside, and it starts to bunch. See, even with the gloves, it starts to bunch up, and it's difficult because if you have any little spots that are open, the water's going to find its way.
I just don't like putting chemicals and solutions like that on my skin anyway, so I would have worn gloves.
You're not wrong.
Right.
But see how it's just annoying? And you know what? Maybe this is wrong. I'm not, again, this is not an expert how-to video. This is a product I found that works. This is me shoving stuff in it full to like wipe it out. I don't know. Anyway, I'll skip ahead. Like, it's just, this was exciting for me because I am finally learning a little bit of how to keep the damn water from leaking.
Right.
Because there's so many times, like, including our newest project that we'll talk about. I do this after it dried.
I mean, who knew you were trying to grow plants and instead you had to learn a little bit about plumbing.
Well, that's why I chose to do it this way. I
Yeah.
mean, you can go on Amazon. The first thing I bought to learn how to do aquaponics was a store-bought setup, and you know, there are some things to learn from that, but for the most part, you don't have to learn how to keep it from leaking. That's a big learning curve there. Hey, what's this guy up here doing? A pant? Oh my gosh. I hate that. I need to take those down. So this is the other annoying end of this PVC type grow. And this top grow, we talked to your cousin. Now, hopefully we can get him on sometime. He kind of seemed interested. We'll see. He does a lot of construction and woodworking and that type of thing, and does some great stuff. But he started getting his brain turning about what if you could get water flowing directly to different plants. And this is sort of similar, maybe not exactly, because I know he meant like sort of spider webbing to plants. Mm-hmm. But with this method, some plants are supposedly better adjusted to water running over their roots nonstop, and you have this fresh flow of nutrients, and it doesn't stay very long, so you're not getting a buildup or a mold. And so that's what this is theoretically for, but my problem is I can't grow anything in the bed big enough to then transplant up there, because if you pull it out of the bed, all the clay pebbles just come with it. And then, oh, see, goop. Anyway. This was my idea of how to plug it, because then you can just unplug it real quick. It's nice. But anyway, yeah, I was proud of that. Okay, you guys. But that's my idea back there. But man, I can't. There's nothing I have that I can transplant into that. But that's where a float bed comes into play.
Right.
You start things in float bed, and then you can transplant that into different places they like better. I don't know. So my idea here is to make the hole smaller, make the pipe smaller, so that it will raise the water level in the pipe, hopefully all the way back through. I don't know if it's going to yet because of the angle of the dangle here, but we'll see. That's the idea. I want it to get a little higher so that you can then put a grow cup in there and actually tickle the bottom of the roots with the water, actually, instead of being so far away that it's going to have problems. So anyway, we can definitely skip ahead. This is the same process you saw in the last little clip. 3 hours later. Little SpongeBob reference for you guys.
Yeah, that's just the problem with some of these projects, though, is it is time consuming with little bitty tedious jobs like this that don't seem like a whole lot, but can change the whole output of these beds.
Mm-hmm. And you put them off, you're like, it's a slight adjustment, but I don't know. It was a big thing for this system to have. It's like multiple adjustments. But to do that, to clean that bed out and to fix that bed, it's going to be, I'm going to have to, by hand, take all the pebbles out. Or not all, but I'm going to have to scoop a ton of pebbles out. I'm probably going to just have to take the whole liner out and then seal the bottom or something. Because I can't trust that the leak is where I think it is, because the whole bottom is going to be wet. So
what's the other alternative? Put a whole new liner in?
That's what I mean. And I have plenty of that plastic. I mean, but I kind of would just maybe take a little piece of Craigster's pond liner that we got left over. Lots of leftover pond liner. We'll see. We'll talk to him about that. Doubt he's watching this far into the video anyway. We'll see. I'm gonna give him a quiz. I'm gonna quiz him on that one. Did you watch my show? But yeah, no, the show. It's actually really exciting, guys, because we've seen exponential growth in the fact that just having Jeremy, just having the co-host, just having some more, I don't know, back and forth on some of these issues, because that's what I love about it. So there's so many different opinions and ways of doing gardening and growing almost every plant. There's probably multiple ways to skin the cat, But this is just me finishing the bottom.
Yeah, you were adding those extra supports in.
I really think it's going to be enough. That there's
plenty. At first there wasn't much, but I think we've really got it together now, and you've put in the extra work to make sure all the supports are in.
Because these are actually connected to the shelf that's also drilled in on each end, and then connected to the cross beams, I guess you call them, and then also drilled into with pilot holes into the walls, or what would you call these? The main structure, I guess. So it's pretty solid, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a big bed, which once this gets closer to being done, I'd say scrap the other bed completely. But
is that your opinion? Is that your official thought?
I mean, if you're going to run a bed this big, I'd concentrate more on running this one correctly instead of trying to have so many beds going.
That's kind of what I thought, but I just don't know if maybe I'm selling myself short, because think about in the future, if I do end up getting bigger and bigger and make this commercial type of endeavor, I'm going to have multiple things to run. I'm going to have to juggle more things. So I don't know. I agree with you in the short term.
Well, I'm not even saying just short term. Just get this bed up and operational and get it super successful. And then once this one's up and running and going strong, then we have the time that we can go back. That other bed, we can actually, build a frame for it better. and start with just building the proper housing for that to sit on, and then we'll finish everything inside of it. And like you said, even if we upgrade that pond liner, it's not going to puncture as easy as that plastic. I would just worry about getting this one finished and operational. And if you did have the means, or we come by the means to get one bigger light to put over the central of this, and then supplemental with these little T5s that you got hanging around, I think just seeing that change alone, I guarantee the output on this bed's going to be high.
Okay, then let's compromise here. Then I want to see water flowing through this bed before I scrap the other one.
Yeah.
I want to keep greenery going on in there until I feel like it's time. And this is the other issue that I think it might come up as spring hits and there's more outside time and more weather for outside farming. And I know multiple people now that do things outside, including you, including the church I used to work with. I could be outside doing a lot of learning and helping with the outside, the much bigger yield, because what am I working with? 2 pepper plants.
Yeah,
so,
well, that's the importance of getting this running now. So
true.
You're starting your grow season when most of us are, producing.
But shouldn't I be?
And then,
well, where should my time be spent over the summer? Continuing learning this, or should I be outside, working with the bigger yields? I mean, I don't know.
I would say get this going. That way, if you get this up and running here before all of us, or while all of us are transitioning our plants to outdoors and getting those gardens, you'll be starting new life in here. And when our season's ending, you'll be producing vegetables for the winter.
I definitely am excited for next winter.
But yeah, I'm just, that would be ultimately you get this dialed in, and when we're finishing our outdoor gardens for the season, you'll be right time to start growing indoors and actually producing inside.
This is as big as any raised bed, in my opinion.
Oh, this is gonna be a bigger bed, yeah.
Most it's not raised that deep, bed, though, so I have to keep that in mind. But I thought of this before. Do you remember?
Well, roots don't have to go deep; they can still go out. You just can't overcrowd up top.
That's what I was going to say at the Grow by Design setup, where he's had the water inside with the algae that was growing, where water's just constantly going. The water's only hitting it at the bottom, a few inches, probably not more than this. So you could have cloth pots sitting in this bed eventually, depending on if it would hold that much. I mean, maybe not. Pretty sturdy bed, but I don't know that it's going to hold more than 500 pounds. I would think. I'm guessing, but I don't know. That seems like a random number, but that's my guess off the top of my head. But my point is, I thought about adding pots or things that can add elevation for certain plants, but that's going to add weight and all that. So maybe we'll see. But I just I sort of in my head imagine a similar thing to what he has going, where you have a cloth pot in there and then the clay pebbles surrounding it, and that it's at the depth of the water. And anyway, we'll see. But old Eddie, my friend Ed, was telling me he's got his snippers and he was really wanting to get to cutting the
sheet metal for the base. Yeah.
So we're gonna get that done soon.
Good. I mean, I guess we could leave it up to viewers too. You guys can comment what you want to see him do next. If you want him outdoors, if you want him to continue the bed, give Waylon tasks.
Yeah, you're more than likely, if you're watching this, you have more experience than I do. So tell me what you think that I should be doing next. I mean, yes, I believe indoor farming without dirt is the future in a lot of ways, but that doesn't mean I don't want to learn the stuff outside.
Right.
Like, I want to know how to do outside if I don't have materials to order lights and all these things you need for indoors.
It's a lot more stressful. As we've discussed, guys, indoor growing is manipulating seasons in your house. You can make, I love
learning curve.
The whole winter was nice. You get those, snowy days, those cloudy days, just bitter cold days, and you get the winter blues. Sunny and 70 in my grow room all year long. Perfect humidity, perfect temperature. You still might want to wear your sunglasses. It's bright in there.
Lawn chair?
I didn't account for that. When they're young, I can still go in there and sit and kind of get my fake tan on, I guess. But it's the seasonal changes outdoors is what really you have to worry about. It could be a bumper crop, could be hardly anything.
What's a bumper crop?
Oh, bumper crop. That's when you're going to have huge success. A lot of hardy harvests.
That's what that is. Okay. Okay. So that's what everybody who does outdoor farming, they put all their eggs in that basket. Like, okay, here's from this time to this time. If we don't have a great harvest,
That's why they
we're
have
gonna have a bad winter.
That's
It's
why
like,
they have the Farmer's Almanac.
yeah,
Gives
but
you
like,
a
can you put a few $1,000s?
foresight on your season.
Dude, imagine if a farmer put like even $2,000 of his yearly budget into an indoor facility that he would then continue producing all winter long. Maybe it's too difficult, like you said. You're manipulating Mother Nature as opposed to working with Mother Nature. So, or I guess we're not manipulating Mother Nature. We're mimicking Mother Nature. So I don't know. That's a battle, but to me, I think both. You know, I had a friend of mine say, "Oh no, I think that indoor stuff that should be a not back burner, but that should be a secondary. That should be your backup. That's it, a backup." And I thought, well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the outdoor should be your backup because outdoor farming, in my opinion, uses a lot more of your personal energy, your body, your physical energy. Indoor farming uses a lot more electricity energy, and right now maybe that's not a good thing. But in the future, you know, if you
cheaper than driving a combine,
right? Imagine having more cheap energy sources. Hopefully, if we can ever get through our own idiocracy. But yeah, I just imagine having ways on my property that generate that power, so then I don't have to work so hard. Because outdoors, you're on your knees in the dirt, you know, in the sun. It's beating down on you. Not a bad thing.
Only allowed to deal with the plants on the days Mother Nature allows you to.
That's the other problem with outdoors. That's why I'm like, man, hedge your bets. You know, one Morton building on your property could probably produce. I mean, hell, there's all sorts of stories where these couple with a quarter acre of land and they produce with $10,000 worth of, you know, microgreens a month. I've seen that story a couple times, but hopefully not the same story, but maybe different gimmicks where they say, oh, you could do it on a quarter acre farmer with like just an extra Morton building on the property. I mean, easily.
So you're just doing the same thing, just adding the supports in on this side now.
Yeah. Take it away, man. My throat is. I have an old frog in my throat.
So as you see here, Waylon's still hooking up his cross members, getting that extra support beams in the middle of his grow bed.
Those are thicker than they're not so wide, but they're like a.
Yeah, they're not just furring strips.
Yeah.
They're not just furring strips. They're just a slim board. I love the ingenious bungee cord usage.
I liked it. I think I wasn't thinking about it being filmed at the time. You know, I wasn't thinking, oh, this is going to be genius. You know, I just thought, well, how can I get this thing to stay? Because the clamps, which by the way, I meant to say that thank you very much for these. Lending me these large clamps here. They're pretty useful. I have found instances where it couldn't actually be used.
It gets too thick, gets in the way. It's not big enough space to get it in there.
But that's why I have a big old thing of bungee cords. That can be helpful at times
but
as well.
What we've been preaching from the start, guys, use what you got, make it happen. I mean, you know, by any means necessary, we can get it done.
I'm predicting that, well, let me back up a minute. Adding the sheet metal to this is going to really be helpful, I think, to add overall structural stability. Not just, I kept fighting the idea because I think it may not necessarily be 100% necessary for the pond liner, but then I think, well, that's going to add rigidity. Is that right? Rigidity to the whole thing. The whole structure, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be tacked in all the way around, and that whole structure, I honestly think that wood is older than I might like to admit, so it may not be as hold as much weight as I think. Here's a bunch of old seeds that Bo had me trying to start. wasting my time watering all the time. Oh, look how cute the little potatoes were back then.
Yeah, they're massive now.
I thought they were massive there.
I know. I saw them today, and I was like, dude, your potatoes are out of control.
Oh yeah,
Dude, I'll tell you what, potatoes in a bucket with that T5 light, man. They're taking off.
But see, I'm wondering if they're just gonna keep reaching, but not produce much, or are they gonna produce little like seedling potatoes? I'm okay with that.
What does seed package say till harvest?
I don't know.
And what day did you plant them?
You said what day did you plant them?
Did you write it down?
Mm-mm. Oh, those?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bill wrote it down somewhere.
Okay, here we go. Home growers. First step and lesson in a lot of
Not
these,
mine.
especially with root vegetables like this, write your date down. It'll tell you 70 days to harvest, 90 days to harvest, 110. Just write your calendar when you plant these on it,
Germination, though.
just every Sunday go through 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, calculate it out in 10 weeks. Dig up your potatoes, or at least dig up one, see what it looks like. If you want to go a little longer, go a little longer.
Oh, no, these were, this was just a single potato that my mom had that was sitting there. And I cut it into pieces.
Oh. We're going to have to look it up. You'll want to look up so you have a ballpark of like 10 weeks.
What I've seen is that everything that's growing will extend up, and then, that was it. And then it will die off and shrivel back down to the dirt. It's gonna like sort of die off and then shrink back down. As it's shrinking back down, you'll start to see the potatoes mounding up as like sort of cresting over the dirt. That's from what I've seen, but again,
I wonder if that's just using all the leftover nutrients in the leaves and stalks that they don't need anymore.
That would be
it just absorbs it withers back down in the potato, and you're done.
Make a lot of sense for sure. I did add more dirt to this, and I think we'll show that on the next episode. I need to be better about teasing, what's going to happen in the episode, and maybe teasing it early in the beginning. But anyway, I appreciated any feedback, you guys. Look, if you guys know what you're doing more than me. Hey, send me a suggestion. Send me some criticism. I'll spare Jeremy all the hateful stuff. Just send me whatever you want. Give us a comment. So send us a subscription. Send us a like. Appreciate your feedback, guys. Jeremy, anything to say?
Happy growing.
Happy growing, guys. Thanks.